that past, in the past, what we would have been if we get to know something, that would be quite good. Yeah, but it doesn't satisfy, it doesn't bring us to complete peace. Whatever, when we get to know, it was a moment, the past, whatever we recall, it was that time real at that moment. And it passed away. And even how great we were, whatever we may remember, when we get to know that it's not our true self, true being. Like sometimes it was in a dream, like this is also like a dream, and the past also is like a dream. If we don't want to recall another dream, and if you get a glimpse of this, that's why the whole question, the whole thing is to know who you are. What is this person? This is self. Who is this real self? I will demonstrate that today maybe a little later, but how to really feel practically. But I think a lot of you are new today. First time you are meeting me. How many of you can slightly... Okay, just one. Back person. So all this like becoming half-half. Sometimes now more words than before. You see, certain things I like. Certain things I like to remind. How many of you know some background of this monk? Especially connected with why I'm coming, why I came like this. Some of you know, have no idea, right? Okay. Then I had to give some. Many years ago, as a young monk, I was invited to come to stage to give certain discourses or give teaching. And that time I told that gentleman who invited me, I don't know, he's not here, right? He will come, not here. I just told him that when I'm an arahant, I will come. That means when I'm perfected. Perfected in the sense, we know in this path of enlightenment, we can know from our state of mind, like it's like getting cured from a sickness, a disease. So the fever should go down, the symptoms of the disease should go down. This is a clear sign of if you're getting enlightened. We don't imagine an enlightened person getting angry, do we? We have, or a person who is upset, or having always a long face. No. We expect an enlightened person to be at peace and show some glow. That's one thing we would actually check, at least the face. It should have a kind of a, I mean, we can't, because today maybe we can apply Nivea and come, you know. But still, that charm you cannot get from Nivea. I remember once there was one, I was working for 2 years before, many years back, for 2 years. And this office, I remember I had to work under one lady who was my boss. She was the finance controller in that place. And she had lipstick, I never forget. But it was like applied on a dead log or something. She looked so lifeless. So, I mean, you know, I could just imagine, those days I was very sensitive also, already as to sort of notice people. I would think what she must be up to. To have that sort of no aura, no kind of inner charm that goes out, only just the outlet, some kind of, you know, the fleshly, becomes too close to the flesh of the person, not that emanating. So anyway, at least these particular qualities, physically, we call normally the personality is built. So this yardstick, this kind of measurement, I was thinking, I should not be having greed, anger, or delusion, or at least to a certain standard, sense of I or some ego. When they are absent completely or to a great extent, I would come to United States, or not West, England, all these places, America and other countries. So I told this gentleman actually, I was serious when I told that word arahant, that means, so I was really serious. It's funny that, they got to know now because I come into public and they knew, oh, where's that monk? They were thinking so many years I heard. And they get to know, now he's out. Then, 2012, I did come to the public. After Himalayas, I go a lot to the Himalayas, Kailash, Mansarovar. Of 2009, I've been going almost every year. Before that, I had been to other parts like Rishikesh, Badrinath, one cave, I was staying there. Also the Sri Lankan jungle, the forests, the national parks, with the bears, and I never told in these programs my experience with the bears actually. I don't know, it must come. Because all things I tell to inspire people and now it's boring for me. So anyway, but there was a time that these are the training. When I come like this, I'm coming to one point. There's one reason I want to tell why I came here. There's one reason, and I think it should be known. It's not out of ego, it should ignite you into something. So, 2012 I did come to the public. And it was like this, it was like people used to come and sit with me, say in the morning in the monastery, at about, say, 8 o'clock. And they used to sit and wait until 4 o'clock. Just they used to stay. So I was thinking, when I'm just talking, they're getting this in peace. What if I do a meditation? So I told who is in charge of the monastery that after a few days, coming Saturday, I will have a meditation, this thing, like a program. So 60 seats were kept. There's another gentleman who came and just had 60 cushions, I never forget. And around 4 o'clock, it was to start at 5 or 6. Around 4 o'clock, there was just people coming and coming and coming. There was no end to it. It was all full everywhere, all over. So this is how I started, just coming over. But still, I did these programs, went back. Did and went back. So it was just few only. Then 2013, 14, 15, I was in Kailash, Himalayas, and I got this altitude sickness. I don't know if you know about this, like lack of oxygen. The whole system gets this thing. And I have seen people die before my trips, and I have seen people die and they've been recovered. And this time, I was going the Kora, they call the Kora, around the mountain. And when I was going around the mountain, of course I already had the splitting headache. Normally we all get altitude until you acclimatize for some days. But this time I got it in such a way, I know that it was like really, I just can't go anymore. And I went on like that, and my guide and the driver who was with me, they knew I was all blue, and like a splitting, I can't say it, like a splitting headache. And I was imagining all the time there is some vehicle in front, to take me. I just can't move. But just, I continued. And I was thinking, I thanked to my parents that they gave me a body which can withstand this particular. But finally we came to this lake, Mansarovar. It's a huge lake, the biggest lake in that high altitude. There, in the night time, I was really feeling it very difficult. I thought maybe I don't make it. So I was like choking. So I was preparing. We have a meditation which we prepare if you have to face death or any calamity. This is connected with to know who you are, which brings self-realization. To know whether your hair is you or whether this skin is you, whether your teeth are you or yours. There is a way, the body is you or your consciousness, the feelings, perceptions, whether it's you. There is a way how to analyze this. So I was preparing to practice that, which we do daily. This also I started to do as a daily practice after an experience in the jungle in 2004. When I was going from jungle to jungle. They also not a near-death experience, but I faced a very tough situation. I was cutting across jungle and I was being, touched by all these poisonous trees, certain trees, like I was being whipped. All, the body and the head area. Special leaves called mausa, I don't know, mausa curricula. and leeches. All things. I have removed them like this. So that time, by certain robbers, I was found. If they didn't find me, you would not see me today also, because who's going to give me food? And no food, you get weak, and then you get lost there. I had no compass that time. So anyway, there, when they looked after me, I was trying to, I have normally this samadhi practice, which I have certain mastery. But when I tried to get into samadhi, it was not possible. There was so much pain in this area, cutting sensation. So the mind was distracted by the pain. Then I remembered my teacher, my master, how he has told us to memorize certain sutras, of which makes you see who you are, to realize, to give this self-realization. And that, one of the sutras, I remember, I started slowly chanting and applying. Chanting. Because they are like signposts, my friends. The master's teachings, they are like, they pointer you, they give you a pointer, like a signpost for your observation. It's like a, so that you know where to what to observe. And when you're observing properly, you find that you get knowledge of true picture of what is that. So it's like a when you get a true picture, one sign is you will let go. We cling to something because we are living in a fantasy, an illusion. That's why we feel attracted. Some people ask me one day, why are you a monk? One day in Berlin, in one program, I think, why did you become a monk one day? I think this thing is a very short answer. It is a process of, you go through a process and then it's not suddenly coming like that. So it came to my mind, why are you not a monk? Because the way I see, what are you doing here? Don't you know the world is burning? Like a ship is sinking. This is how I see it. Now when you meet me, you get that feeling. If you meet my teacher, you will get, now I must get liberated, like this feeling. Because their minds are clear. We get a shock when someone dies. And then we think, then it may be too late. Who we love and so on. But if you get this certain vision, today was a very nice day because this vision happened to me long years ago, when I was 18 years old. That time I would have come to States. It's like, if you're holding a string, you suddenly see it's a snake. Is there a question of letting go? No. Suddenly you just let go. Why are you not letting go? Because you're not seeing the reality. Maybe suddenly someone passes away and gives you like a waking up call, and then you might think of all the religious things to follow. Or, so, this is like, but that is an emotional one. But there is a way you get as a realization, an intuition. This happened to me. I'm cutting short, I'm having different scenarios because just remember today we just sort of completed a cycle, I would say. Because my beginning starts, the way I started this part was, I was curious about this, actually I was always thinking of some perfection. So when I was a very young boy, I was trying to invent or sort of make non-stop machine. I call it a non-stop machine. So because my father, the engineering atmosphere there, he had these drawing boards, the designing boards and all that. So it's a long story also. But anyway, when we were in South Africa, Southern Africa, and then there also a little bit, I got interested in physics, relativity. Theory was very interesting for me. It connected with, now I was searching, I was reading the Bible and other, everything my mother, the books she was having, the sutras. And one sutra, it explains about 1,000 years on earth is one day in those heavens, and then like that, such months, and the other 11 heavens are like that, so on. So that gave me a connection. That means I felt through relativity, the time could be dilated near the relativistic speeds of light, close to the relativistic speed, close to the speed of light. Light or speed of light is taken as a constant. So there's a possibility, a lot of possibilities is proven now, of course. And then to see that there's this explanation of the old sutras about the heavens, and if you read it just plainly, it looks fairy tale. But when you know that the time is like this, it can be, then it does exist. So when you have a strong connection, this thing, That is the correct, that's your visa passport to those dimensions. You are not doubting it, but it should be based on proper. So anyway, I use that mental, because I know those dimensions are powerful, and I use that connection to predict my IGCSE, English language, English literature, essay titles. And so I'm going to cut short quickly, I'm just running quickly, so I don't want to be as boring for me this subject also, explaining. But anyway, that was my beginning of my meditation. I knew that, when I opened the paper, I saw these two headings, and I was very, the universe was in my hand, I felt like that. But I didn't get the idea to become a monk at that time. But based on this thinking, today we just discussed at Princeton, the compound, because I was to go to Princeton because I like Einstein very much, and he stayed his last period in Princeton, so I was really keen to go. I was wanting to be there and study it was astrophysics that I applied for, so that I could pursue this thinking. That time I had this thinking like this. I today only discussed. It was so nice to do it in a way, but I think I saw Princeton much clearer when I had this vision. It's very interesting. So I used to have a habit of going for walks. So when I was going on a walk around age 18, that time I was also into a lot of interest in cricket, sports, a lot. And so meanwhile I had all these thoughts, thinking. While I was going for a walk, I suddenly had this experience. I don't know how to explain it. But before that, there was this thinking pattern. Now it came to my mind few months, few years back, after this, now, in regarding speed, for example, if something goes faster than the speed of light, it goes back in time. According to mathematics, of course, not practically, because the mass increases the closer speed of light. It's not practical. And after a long time, bringing this conversation. Today I brought it also, but maybe, so if back in time I took that as memory. For example, say you look at your hand, the mind goes faster, it has that fast speed. So when you recall something, you are in that direction. Now then meditation comes, the intuition. That's so fast, super fast. That's why we say, when we have that, now even in concentration, samadhi we call it, where we go inside, we go to an infinite zone. You get sucked inside. That is the consciousness, vijnana. That, and that one, that's why normally it's not explainable, you can experience it. The master also tells that don't try to know about it, you have to experience it. You can't explain from the five senses. When the five senses become absent, only disappears. So, when you went to, that is one practice. So, the other one is if you have insight, intuitive awareness, you might even go to the speed where time stops. This is how my reasoning was there that time, many years ago. Then based on this anyway, I was going for walks. And in the evening I had this habit of, there's a beautiful place, the Caledon River, and my father's house there. I used to walk in the evening, just think and daydreaming. Suddenly this flash-like thing happened. It came to my mind, this is how I verbalized it. It was like a vision in the mind, it came to my mind that everything that begins in time definitely ends. And it came to me, this understanding, this experience, vision has no beginning. Therefore, there's no end. It's beautiful. I was just thinking now in a rationalizing way, how the immortal state is in impermanence. It's like a paradox, So impermanence, you have to really realize impermanence. There you have the way to eternity. Or observing change, realizing change, not just observation, because it should be an intuitive realization that any happening that happens in time. Do you think now, look up till now, was there anything that did not change? Anything we ate, anything we saw, heard in our... if you look back, nothing. Up till now, everything just it's dead and gone. And the same thing will happen if you experience something in the future. But this must be known as a kind of a realization of a principle. So when I saw this, I must tell you, when I had this experience, I was seeing mountains. The closest description I could say is that, like jelly. Okay. You can relate that, right? At your age, jelly is something you really, mommy hides it very much. You get a tummy pain, right? Okay. So this is like jelly, I saw everything as jelly, and the other thing that I saw as jelly was Princeton, the granite buildings. So today, I don't know, after we just went there, we were trying to locate just that, I don't know, in those brochures, you know, they had that lion thing, not the statue, we were trying, not that one, it's like into the sort of, there's an arch and like a bakery, it was now 26 so many years back. So that I saw that was just disappearing. Whatever I thought, whatever I felt, I saw it like just disappear, annihilate. So there's nothing I felt interested in except this experience, this vision. And I saw in my mind's eye a monk. That these monks are people who are trying to get this vision. That I must be like them and make this vision happen again and again. And I should be in such silent places. So those days I didn't know about monasteries, nothing. And so this is how, so I came from a vision that time. So I told my father, I want to be a monk. And then my father was a surprise. You know, it was that. But some other things happened to me. After that, my personality also completely started to change. After that time to now, I counted the times that I would say, scolded somebody. Not like this. Before I used to get into fits, you know. Actually, before going to South Africa, I used to hit people. That time in Sri Lanka, when I was going to school, in the school, my parents used to have always complaints, caning, not for my parents' school teaching. And that time my hero was Bruce Lee, if you don't know. I'm not joking. If you ask my parents, and so then we went to Lesotho in Southern Africa. Things changed and no more fighting, but it went to sports. Some energy was working and I don't know where to channel it. So then it went to sports, basketball, volleyball, cross country, javelin also. Javelin, and they used to ask, what do you eat? Because I was thinny, you know, skinny, but some energy coming out. So anyway, but I used to get into fits with close people, anger. This was happening, especially with my father and so on. Small things. So it was 14, 15, 16, this age was also little. I had some troubled times also, I mean, it's too long to explain. But anyway, when I went on like that, then when I had this experience age of 18, this thing completely cooled down. Completely cooled down means after that, I counted the times that I actually felt I was angry, and then I told something. Not really, very angry also. And it was always with the taxi drivers in India. I don't know why. Because they managed to press my button. Because they are, you know, like, for example, they are cheating something. You know, I know because I've been going to India so many times. And I counted 1, 2, 3, 4. And it was with a lot of trips I was going up and down. I got this. So anyway, you can't overcome anger, these emotions, just by pretending. The reason you get angry is because of your desires. When the desires are, because when you enjoy your pleasure, you lose energy. When you lose energy, your button becomes sensitive. If it is pressed suddenly, so when you lose energy, you can't go inside. When you go inside, you have tranquility and peace of mind. Then you touch the energy part of your consciousness. Otherwise, you get stressed out. That's why you feel for slightest thing irritated. So many think it's compassion meditation to remove what it is, anger. No, it's actually overcoming your pleasures and desires. which are for short time, but it creates so much mental ill health. So when you do like this, when more peace of mind comes, but then to overcome desires is to remove the fantasy about it. That is another one. Because if you really know the truth about it, you will not get desire. Because you are living in an illusion, a fantasy, that's why you feel attracted. Because you don't see the suffering connected to it, and you don't really experience it. You are living in you experience it in a halfway. Because you have a mental picture of it, a perverted perception. Then only you can get that pleasurable idea. So anyway, just to tell, after the 18 like this, okay, this is how my journey started. But it took 10 years, 28 to ordain. Then I met my teacher who inspired me and then directed me to these suttas. And there he told us, then I saw the same thing, the same vision activated by the original old teachings. And anyway, I will cut short quickly. Then, 2014, I faced this, and then because I came to observe this particular, you can see how I'm talking, no? One there, one picture, then coming to this. I call the spiritual monkey mind, okay? I'm sort of justifying it, spiritual. So anyway, this is how my discourse, just, it's just random. You look at YouTube, you'll find who are knowing that. Then you come back after that. It's like many chapters connecting in webbing. So anyway, when I was in 2014, when I knew I was going to almost die, then I had to practice this. I came to this practice of watching myself, observing. And before that, another thought came that I couldn't share enough with the people. Because I was running away, on the way if someone meets, I used to share some of the teachings. But not like programs or like, where I didn't accept invitations, I didn't even go to houses. When they called me, I said, wait, I'll give you something, what you want, but I'm not going to have it. So, now when you're dying, when you're going to die, you can't get this kind of thought. That means I have overdone it. I should have shared something. It's like when you're working towards a PhD, you can teach something from your masters, right? So I didn't think like that at that time. So, but then I thought, now too late. Let me focus now, maybe next life. And I just focused on sort of the meditation thing and waited. Of course, I managed to survive, okay? Then 2015, again I faced this, but this was like a no-return trip. You normally go into a coma. So there also the same thought came just before I was really listening. But to cut short this, that also I managed to survive. Okay, and then I brought to Lhasa, Tibet, there the capital, then from there to Kathmandu. In Kathmandu I was recovering, still it was affected the whole body. Like, when I'm talking, I couldn't talk, I felt so tired. Because I'm telling all this, I want you to know this, because I'm not a glass box monk also. So if you are also having some trouble, you should get the strength. I'm not coming enjoying all I'm not telling I've gone through certain things to the bottom of certain experiences. So that you must know, then only you get the gems coming out. This is the main thing I want to give you all. Even if you don't understand a single word what I'm saying, no problem. You get this spirit and you have the will to see that nothing can make you upset, sad. You have that will to put yourself in right focus. Even if they are telling you have to die tomorrow, you have a way out of this. So anyway, when I was recovering in what's this place, Kathmandu, someone told me, Bante, don't walk here and there, but you must take bed rest. Because for this you have to take bed rest to recover. So I went and took one day bed rest, and then only I realized my nerves were starting to work, and I was able to have a conversation. So it was slowly recovering, but another thing happened at that time. Then only I realized the demon, there is something, the power of the demon. that later on when it happened only I got to know that the demon directly attacked me that time. Now, if you have some experiences of such a thing, it means you are very close to a certain achievement. When you are close to some achievement, only all these problems come. Like a rugby or anything like that. Coming to the try line, all these people tackle you. The same way, if you are having problems, you must know you are near a winning pole. So this time, I was like, I faced something. I can't tell you all that because it's not nice yet for me to tell. Maybe one day in the future, because I want to keep my life like an open book, so people can relate to their lives also. But this I should not be telling yet. I have told some senior monks. It was like what I cherished most was completely destroyed. Like even connected with my spiritual certain outside forms. Actually we cherish and we cling to normally something tangible. So something tangible is all in the realm of illusion. But the illusion, to protect you from illusion, only that illusion is created by the masters. These are the rules and all these things. So finally, the demon attacks through the illusion. It may be spiritual, but it attacks through the spiritual illusion. And there, I was like annihilated, I mean, what happens if I identify with that is that I will fall into depression. So there I went to my tools and suddenly it came to me, don't personalize it. Now that word was not strong enough, so to put it into words, it came to me, not a proper English word, it came to me like don't egolize it. That means don't solidify it. It's just a happening, a phenomenon. Let it pass away. And soon when I thought like that, I was able to go forward. And when I was going forward, there are the gems lying in front. So these are the things, nothing in the world is, a problem doesn't come from outside. It comes from the way you think. If you think correctly, a problem can be the moment where it brings you a lottery. Or can bring you a gem in that. And it can give you the greatest, achievement. But you have to learn to use it like, surfing. You use the wave for to get the thrust, that is a skill. So normally when you meet a master or get the words of a master, your difficult situations are turned into great opportunities. That's why normally as monks we try to find difficult situations. Because then we know we are going to progress. If we have all comfort and so on these days, well, I'm counting my days in a certain way. When I'm going to, not these people, they're great people I met, but then great people also you leave. In the jungle, I never forget, we used to meet some brother monks, so suddenly we come across them, and then one day I will never forget, I saw one of them and I said, I'm leaving. Then I told, I'm leaving because I like you. So we learn to leave what you like. He was laughing also, thinking, why we are, so we learn to remove, that is our whole practice. Because there we come to peace. What we like only can create problem. We become dependent. So this is something I must tell you, this I faced. Then there also the thought came, I couldn't share enough. So this is what I decided. Next time I accepted all the invitations. For 2015, 16 they were trying to arrange something to Canada, and then it didn't work. When I came from Himalayas, they said, but then 2017 we started from Australia. So you must know I didn't come to see here Disneyland or anywhere. You must remember that. Okay. Another thing it came to my mind that I really enjoy coming here in a way was, I have sometimes certain connections with certain, I would say my masters, certain masters. So now it was really a big decision for me to really decide, even in those attitude things, whether I should really come. This time should I spend in the Himalayas? Is it a good time or in the jungle? Should I make this risk of, I was really having these thoughts, first the Australian trip. So the last moment, I remember one of the, even not the last moment, even a few days back also, I had some kind of aberration or something, I don't know how to call it, like connected with my guiding masters. They told me like this is your duty to go in those countries. You might now tell whether it's right or wrong. those countries, it's like a drought, you know, like a long drought in their hearts, the people. And they are all suffering so much internally. Though they are dressed well and having good dwellings and vehicles, that they are in a lot of pain and suffering and so on. So if you give this wisdom, this thing, it will be like water you put into it, that will be this. And on the Australian trip, I did get to know that. And with great happiness, and as for me a blessing, I come like this. Sometimes I have a complaint that there are no local people, because I feel sometimes I don't want to make this kind of, like you have the Muslim brotherhood, you know, Islam brotherhood, the brotherhood among Islam. But it's not the original teachings of Islam. You know, it's like people make, you know, the spirituality is a universal thing. So I see sometimes in Sri Lanka also, they see the whole world is Sri Lanka. And I saw in others also, I know, I don't want to tell the name of the preacher, because he's a famous person. I saw him telling, like there were a lot of, from the West, you know, there were no Asian, nobody. No from Japan, China, maybe 1, 2. But mostly there was like from Europe and maybe America, England, like this, or Australia. So they were grouped, whole hall was filled like that. And he was telling that time that this is now going to be spread all over the world. And I was thinking, where's all over the world? Is it only the Western, the European people or the Anglo-Saxon? They are all over the world. They also, I thought, it's another extreme. There should be, I hope one day we could see from Africa everywhere. The people, this is my dream, where all these people, like a common medicine for, which is for all humanity. I mean, the Buddha would have been born in Nepal, but Buddha's vision, teaching, is universal. He's not talking about, I mean, when he talks about phenomena of a body, of a consciousness. You can name it later, God or whatever, but you know, you can name it, but the qualities he called. So it's universal, it can be known anytime. So even if some Buddhists get angry or really, you know, like he reacts in, it's not a Buddhist. You can name even a Christian. The conduct. You can associate with those ancient prophets and teachers, masters, how their behavior. Leave the label aside. It was like one, I was telling, like one wife wanted to prepare samosa or some food for your husband, you know. So the husband said, she said, can I make you this samosa? Or I don't know, maybe spaghetti? And then the husband said, well, you first make it, we give the naming later. She was not a good cook. So like that, better we demonstrate qualities rather than tell whether we are Christian or Buddhist or whatever. No point. We shame those religions, you know, if we shame the masters, which we have to master it. To really master this, it should show. Now I remember once, one lady in Birmingham, she was like, one boy was explaining why he became a Buddhist. So when he was explaining, he told like when he was a young man also, he was interested in Buddhism. Then he told one incident that happened. One of his mother was having a grocery and somebody came, one lady used to come always. She looks poor also, she doesn't buy anything, she just buys something small and go. But then one day he asked the mother, who is that lady? Then they said, she's a Sri Lankan. And then he asked, why is she so happy all the time? She looks very happy. Because she's a Buddhist. So that is a nice way to this thing. You know, if you're really Buddhism is not being Buddhism. Really is not being Buddhist, it's really seeing the vision of it. You see people and you see the reality. You don't see, as I told you, when I was going through LTT, the terrorist area, as a wandering monk. There, when I saw them, I didn't see them as terrorists. No. And when I saw the body, I was seeing them as form, feeling, perception, the engineering of the body, and consciousness, the sameness, each person. That is the makeup, like you have a kidney, there was a kidney. You have blood, there was a blood. They like ice cream, you also like ice cream. They don't like pain, no one like pain. And so same way, anyone can experience peace also. This hour, when I was passing the bunkers, they thought either this monk is mad because they were seeing how I'm happy. Because only they killed the monks, and then this was one of the things, why are you happy? I was seeing this, that these people are having the same makeup and they can read the same truth and peace of mind. And may they have this peace of mind. I was wishing this and going. I mean, you can imagine, there were no photos, I don't know, the photographs of it, the Klinochi, the headquarters. I was walking, one wandering monk. So, but I like to just give what I thoughts were going in my mind. And they asked me also one place, will we get peace, Swamiji? I didn't know peace is inside, not outside. I was experiencing it. I was not feeling the war zone or something like that. So I tell you, in your daily practice also, it's very important. Sometimes you think you settle your children, you settle your bank account, you settle this and get peace. No, in the morning, in the tonight, you get into that peaceful state. Relax the body. Go into a positive thought. First you have to correct, you have to know all what has happened to you is for all your blessings. If you regret and worry and all that, you have to convincingly know that all the things that has happened to you now, it is for your good. Or what is going to happen will also be good if you are pure. Do you know the story about this, the king and the minister? How he said, did you know? I mean, I just tell, if you know, I don't want to tell this, okay? So there was this one king, he had his minister or advisor also. So this advisor used to, one day the king was, practicing with his sword in the morning, in India, you see. So when he suddenly cut, his finger, and when he cut the finger, now those days they had an idea in the morning, whatever happens, there's some omen in it. So he called the Dhamma. Okay, only 2 or 3 knows this, okay, but I just tell it. It's important. I think this story is relevant now. I'm feeling something, I don't know why, okay? So, then the king brought the advisor or one of the chief ministers and asked, what is the meaning, what is the omen of this? I cut my finger. He said, sir, everything happens to your good. He was so upset, he was in pain. So he said, you don't give me proper advice. Take him to the dungeon, he ordered, right? So they put him in the dungeon. And after that he was going on, after a few days he was going on a hunting trip. And when he was going on this particular hunting expedition, suddenly he was chasing game and he got himself lost. And there were like aborigines in that area. They caught him. They saw him and they can't speak the language. So they were having a sacrifice, like a human sacrifice, like a puja. So they got him and he saw, he looks handsome. So he could be easily sacrificed. He could be the best sacrifice. So normally, he took the other person and then they were preparing to put him into that altar. And they had to inspect their whole body. So one of their priests, they inspected the body. They made him naked and checked all his body. There they saw the bandage here. And they saw, what is there? And they removed that. Had to see a cut. And they saw there's this blemish, and we can't use it. He has to be a perfect person without any this thing. So he was released, he was sent, then somehow managed to find his way and he came to the palace. Then he thought, really, this cut saved me, So he thought, just release the minister. So they brought the minister and he said, well, what you said was right in a way, this cut saved me from, I was on an expedition like this. And they said, but these 10 days, something could happen to me. What could happen to you? For 10 days you were suffering in the dungeon. They said, I'm so loyal to you. I would never leave you alone. I would have followed you all the way. They would have caught me also. And when they checked me, my body, I had no blemishes. I would have been sacrificed. But I at this happens to a person who has good intentions, who is pure in heart. Everything happens to their good. You will know with hindsight, and you know that
even some difficulties there is a mystery behind it. Some blessings, hidden blessings behind it. I don't know why I said this. Anyway, it might help somebody. So keep this important thought in your mind, and because before you start to any other deep meditation, first meditation is to come out of losing energy, seeing things negatively, because this is your wrong misunderstanding about life. If you have wisdom about life, people who have really enlightened, they are not worried about anything. Even if the world is turning upside down, because they fully understand what's going on. They know it's always a lot of blessings in everything. More the difficulty, the more the problem, there's something more deeply, something you're going to get. So today was like a question and answer thing, because normally I touch about addictions, and because what hinders your mental peace, what hinders your mental, what creates stress. Now, if you tell a doctor and say, please give me this medicine, it won't do. He knows the disease very well. So, in our case, we are trained not to, for us, stress is foreign, my friend. Now they are trying to put me into their world of stress for program to program. But still I managed to keep my... But I also teach how to do this work without getting tired. So how can I teach if I'm not practicing myself? Okay? So I'm doing this one, getting late, tell you honestly. And also I take the privilege of, let me see who really comes, But I don't want to be, it's not nice to be not punctual also. I mean, it's not nice, but I was so clumsy person from young age. My parents used to do everything, and I also was like, anyway. And even my teacher used to just enjoy doing these things. So I enjoy meditating and having that peace of mind. So this is what I can share with you all. It's good to see a situation where that comes and maybe somebody argues with me, or it's also nice, I like to check whether I'm attached to any ideas. To see how my mind works, Like if only a goody group always praising you like a Buddha. No, you can see someone tells you're a fool or something. What is your idea? You can see where you are at Gnanaloka. Are you at, you must get to know like that. So, I know about addictions, certain things, like because the way we get stressed is that when we enjoy certain I was just asking whether to tell my normal explanations about it. A little boring also. I want to talk about a new subject, but these are very important. This is my mission. I've seen people, because certain mechanism, he was telling a lot about new people, so I will definitely explain. Now for stress, now actually it's very well known in the modern, now in the scientific fields, world also is very well known. Just feeling the touch of your leg on the ground, just feeling the hand resting on the, just noting it, just wiggle and all that is very nice. They call the stress busting method, stress busting techniques. Just few minutes, if you pay attention to what is going on in the moment, pay just attention how your hand is resting on your lap, okay, and the leg touching this thing, how you gain mental energy, like you are not stressed out. So I was becoming a very good, you could say, driving instructor in UK now, before I came here. Because most of them, some of them, they ask me, but now they ask me the question how to practice meditation while you are doing your day-to-day activities. This is a big question. So now while they are driving the car, they were asking me this, now because they get the time to ask some questions. And at that time, I suddenly told, now it's always explaining is not going to do. I had to demonstrate or tell them how to do it immediately. So I told him, just feel how you're holding the steering wheel. My friend, let's practice now, I told him. I was in the back seat. So just feel the steering wheel. Let's feel, now he was like, there was a reclining chair, he was like seated like this. So I told him, just relax, like in a reclining chair, just relax in your seat and feel the seat touching your back. Just nothing. And just focus on the road, of course, but feel like this. And when he was doing that, he was quiet. He didn't question me again. We were not talking, so I just allowed him to wait. I knew he was just tasting that coolness. Because this looks so simple that people think that, this can't be so simple. The solution can't be so simple. So when he was doing that, now he was continuing all the way. So when he came to the end of the journey, he was telling me, Bhante, I never experienced this kind of peacefulness. And he was telling me, I wish you were here all the time with me. Reminding me. Now this is one technique, I'm telling you. Now I don't want to reveal other secrets. Because some people might slowly, now I know all the things that cause stress. There are 4. Now this is now stress means you're tapping the superficial part of your consciousness. When you go into the consciousness more, there is the energy part of your consciousness. Now when you're able to stay in the moment, the mind gets time to sink in. When you are rushing up and down, it doesn't get time to go in. So when we stop going forward, back and forward for past and future, then when you pay to the simple attention, then it gets time, it touches the energy part of the brain and you feel, free from that stress out, this exhaustion. So this is one. So other one, before that, is called Indriya Samvara. See, now this is connected with Iriyapate. It's a Pali term that is given. 4 Buddha gives that to reduce stress. Now I don't want to put it to the only. He didn't give it to reduce stress actually. He gave you to polish your mind to enlightenment. So that a stressed mind, can you get enlightenment? First you have to get stress-free mind. Then you can have that wisdom mind to open. When you are stressed out, you are like a sick person. And so he gives you another one. It's called sense control. In the Pali it's called Indriya Samvara. Now in the sense control he gives you a practice. I have told yesterday, I remember. Like I can look at you like this, and I can look at you like this. In this way I'm looking. I'm not focused, right? Am I? When you look at me, do I look focused now? Now I look focused, yeah. So this is called, don't take the details of your experience. So normally the monkey mind and all that comes because you register things. So when you cross a road, you see the vehicles, of course, but you don't see who is inside the vehicle. Like that you learn to. Now this is at that level. But my friends, this is one practice. When you do that much, you will reduce stress. The other one is stress means you will be able to control or reduce your temptations or distractions. And the other one is called Bhojana Matanya, control of food. Now I must tell you, food is one of the greatest pleasures we have. First is, you could say, what is the first, more than food? What is the greatest pleasure? In what do we get the greatest pleasure? For the 5 senses, I think. Sorry? Greatest pleasure is sexual activity. And second is food. You can see the two, the tongue. Now, but this is my job, you see. I have come to tell the secrets of so the tongue and the sexual organ, look at them, red, with a lot of nerves. And you can see, which is giving a lot of feelings in other words. And when you even think of food, which part of your brain is working? It's the reptilian brain. Then you have a special part of the brain, which we think and analyze and so on, that normally in Darwin, the theory, that is the new brain, that it evolved. But of course we know it's due to good karma. We got it as a human being, this special brain. Now, Now for stress things, the Buddha explains food as in those sutras. But in the modern day today, there are so many perversions, especially with sexual activity also. Because you find that even in the Christian religion, they're thinking it was a demon, that like all this muck that we are having in our, that created, that the spirits, certain spirits, closer to that particular, they eat this muck actually. And that creates this addictive nature. Suddenly you are driven to, anything which we do hidden, which we don't want anyone to know and see, is damaging us to mental peace. Okay, I will give in short form. Anything, whether it's in the bathroom, whether it's in other way, in the cell phone, in the computer, whether you are there, whatever you are doing like that, you must know that we don't want anyone to know or see. That means we are opening up our brain to a higher pitch of emotions. So definitely it's not our special brain. It is the reptilian, the animal brain. So when we normally open up to a certain extent, I explain a lot, that certain beings in those dimensions get connected. Okay? When they get connected, they start to drive us into this activity. There are two things which drive us to do sinful things or to do things which makes the mind disturbed, to lose our mental peace. This is one, is those connected with those invisible forces. And the other one is wrong idea. That means we justify it. We have to justify to enjoy sin. We can't enjoy something which is papaya, sinful, without thinking it is doing some good to us. Maybe we take whiskey, brandy. We think, maybe it will reduce our cholesterol or something. Someone has to tell a convincing idea. Then we can. Even someone says certain sexual activity also, maybe for health, something. But now when we begin to, so when we get to know that this view is wrong, is damaging us, and then there are some forces that we have created or this thing, when it becomes graphic and clear to us, next time when the temptations come to them, or certain friends come, suddenly you are there, they call you, like, they just come to you. And now you don't want to go into that, you know this. So normally you open, you just give an opening, they take you. They talk to you and talk you out of it. Like you give a finger to the demon, he takes your hand. So best thing now, when you know this, better to you with a peephole check who he is. Avoid. Now when you know it's really damaging, you will avoid those people, those connections and people. So when you avoid one time, two times, third day, fourth day, that part gets time to get repaired. That part of the brain, but anyway, I have new people, I want to tell this, okay? And then it gets repaired, this part, which was damaged. Then, because you know why? When you are keeping away from these things for a few days, those beings and those ideas don't get nourishment. They get malnourished. And then certain holes in your character get closed up. And those dimensions they get closed up. Now my friends, all these things that are negative, it is very interesting. Now when they get closed up like that, there are times then you will get more result, because you are now getting the way that you normally lose energy and have the stress brain working, it gets now more energy. You're conserving energy because you're keeping away from these things. And when you're getting more, if you get more peaceful states of mind and some inspiration, something else also created in the body, which is corresponding to that emotion, peaceful emotion. Now, like adrenaline is created when you get worried or fear. There's another one that gets created when you're tranquil, calm for some time, and so on. That is called ojas. Now, ojas, tejas, this is another, it's in the Ayurvedic term only, it's not medical science, they don't know about it. I think endorphins, it's also close, it's a positive one, runner's gate, and that's a positive one because that's effort. And then, these things normally, the opposite of the negative one, it goes to the brain, it's a fine one, through the nerves, and where the brain which was not functioning starts to open up. And when they get deposited there. When they get deposited, they start to activate those patterns of calming down, those thoughts. And when there is a cycle created like that, my friends, slowly the poison cycle gets destroyed. And when that happens very much, you can see the body, the aura, there's a change in you. There will be a shine in your cheeks and forehead. So I always tell, then you don't have to apply Nivea, right? And fair and lovely. You have that natural charm. You look so beautiful. Your personality. So this, if anyone wants to become more beautiful, yeah, like some, you could say models, or certain, they do yoga and all these things, knowing, but of course they're just using it for this kind of thing. But if you know this particular thing, this is not only for that, it makes your mental health and mental peace more increased. Now I must tell you, the MRI scan, it shows very much, like all these things that make you suddenly like, negative things, it creates some excitement. That's why you are attracted to that. Suddenly going to a certain nightclub or some other thing. Of course, I know that these things are like now in India and these places. I told you someone went to drop me to the airport, and I just explained to him, I wanted to give him some knowledge, so I just told him, my friend, you should not drink or smoke. Drink actually. I told him for drinks, certain negative spirits, bhoot pret. In India, they are always frightened about ghosts. So I said, these ghosts, they get attracted to alcohol, the smell of alcohol. So he said, no, Swamiji, I don't drink. I don't drink at all. But once a month, I take one beer, he said. Then I told him, maybe you have a baby bhoot pret, baby ghost. It's true. So, it is true. Anything that you find suddenly attracted or disturbed. Now I must tell you, this is from this point, because I bring knowledge from different, I am not caught up in one type of knowledge. Whatever brings truth out, I would like to find out. So if you look at the MRI scan, it's very interesting. Why the alcohol, for alcohol, why you get addicted? It's dopamine, the rush of dopamine, that the feel-good hormones, which suddenly, that is where the addiction is created. So the same is created. Just imagine. Now let me explain this. I don't want to go into that quickly. Okay. I will bring that explanation. It's like, you have, I used to tell that, like, I had an experience with one who had some mental power. Like behind you there are like invisible spirits who come. We don't see them now. But suddenly this person had now they are the ones, now we say, takes us to the nightclubs, or we are married and we feel like attracted to another boy or another man. These are all coming from this influence. These influences are there behind, because they have no idea, they're like fallen souls. So fallen soul may be also fallen. So when you know like this, so once this person had the power to bring those spirits into the body, make them sort of talk. So I was seeing this. So one mother brought one child who was like, not listening to her, disobedient, going for parties and all these negative things she was doing, the computer all the time. So suddenly this boy became unconscious, someone else was talking. I was seeing this. He did something and suddenly he prayed or I don't know what, but anyway, and he was going like this boy, like this, And then this boy was talking, this person was talking. Tell him what? He asked, who are you? He said some spirit, I don't know, some name, snake spirit or something. And then he said, how did you come? When did you come? When he was 13 years old. When this body was 13 years old. That's how he talked. He said, how did you come? When he was playing games. Now I was a little bit confused, I was wondering what these games and you so innocent thing. And like this. And then I understood, I slowly understood why. We know that when we have positive thoughts or good thoughts, like say wishing for all beings and having like kindness to living beings, we know we are slowly getting into the God's mind. So what we think we become. So now we that consciousness. Now say we have something negative, like kill, fight or something, which makes us drawn to the five senses and makes us drain in our energy. Then it should really connect you to lower things. So it's very logical when I look like that. Yes, right, okay, in the games you play something and suddenly you have, I think someone told me, what was it, like reward and things like that. So that is what it makes you rush off dopamine. It's now very well known in Oxford University, the research, that addiction to games is equal to the heroin addiction, the brain function. Now something, don't worry about it, okay? It's okay. It's not all the people I know, it's not happening in all people. So, but I'm just making you aware. Jerry, you can eat, don't worry, okay? But now games big problem, right? Mommy is going now. I don't know, some small babies, small girls, small of them, they're telling, now they're fighting ghosts will come through games, But don't worry, that happens not to everyone. But I don't want to tell like that also, because it doesn't matter. You must always do your prayers, evening and morning. Then no ghost will come. You do that and play games, both. Yeah. This is okay. I'm not telling you, this is no problem. You do that, ghost will not come, you enjoy the game, and it's okay. But I don't know, my brother is still addicted. He's married and all that, and the wife, so I understand what's happening in him. But there is some destiny also. Not every. They must be given that spiritual, that special part of the brain must be open also. So because you can't tell them not to do this, do that. That's not practical. You give them the tools and the knowledge, and then they will have to think for themselves. But if there's a strong, you can't stop that thought, so it's difficult. I have studied this, what happens to some people. So dopamine is same. Now another spirit one time, it says, he came through Facebook. Now I have no idea what Facebook is, you see. I only know the name Facebook. I know to operate YouTube, of course. And some knowledge, information I got also from YouTube. But Facebook, now, you see my friends, it's not, the computer is a neutral thing. The way you have to see is whatever that makes you mind full of lust and greed and anger and egoistic or sort of disturbed mind, but maybe an enjoyment that you go through that, what is disturbing, you must know. You can have an MRI scan in your head and do this thing, and check how the screen is working. Then you will know even some things, I'm sure texting and all that. I don't know. These words I know texting, what does it mean? It means you're sending message? No, comments, no. Because I'm checking the comments. These are all addictions. You look for a nice comment. Am I right? I don't know what it is. So, because that dopamine rush, that's the surprise part. So then you want to do it again and then, sure, you are having another type of drug. And so another place, it explains, another place, the spirit, they tell, when they open that page, they are in our control. Not a page, it's a page, but I think it's a website or whatever, So this is I'm telling for some addiction, because some I know, some were getting distracted by, because these ghost stories and all that. Some of the people, they came and told me in Melbourne, Bante, I want to be a monk, I want to do this, I want to do that. It's okay. I won't like really for them to do that. But then, in this, like a program, accidentally they were just standing behind. And suddenly they got to know about this ghost thing. How these negative things were driven by some unseen force. So later, it was a minute idea, I didn't take it seriously. But in Melbourne city, when he came back and told me, Bante, I was going to the city and normally I get distracted by something, some temptation. Suddenly I remember you were telling that, there are the spirits or something that take you. And that made me think, no, I'm not going to do this. And it really made me stop this. So I was really happy. Because this is really happening, and I'm not telling you to imagine ghosts all the time. This is just to get an idea when you are going to a negative thing, so that you don't want to think something is destroying you and you will not do it. If you, like you get convincing, definitely this happens. So this is for that purpose. Now when you are keeping away from these things and when you have some idea, these are addictions. Today there are modern ways, so many ways of, especially with the computer, because it is in the sensual world. This machine works in the sensual world. Like in Nepal, in Kathmandu, one day one gentleman showed me one cell phone and said, Swamiji, they call me Sadhya, Swamiji, this cell phone, what did he say, can do anything. So I told him, I just reminded him, yeah, anything in the material world. It can't bring you some message from God or something. No, it is, okay, yeah, it's information technology. Information in what? 5 senses. So I just told these points. If you have addictions, this is some help. You can notice you are addicted to something. This will stop your way to mental peace and to liberation. Liberation is something further than that. First you must get some mental health, where you are able to, another one I couldn't tell. Another one is that actually some of the rules laid down by the master, it is regarding they have told about grave offense. Now for monks we have like 4, if you break we have to destroy. But if you, another 13, the first 2, if we break we have way of recovery. But now these things he laid down after 20 years. First 20 no one was doing those mistakes. They were getting enlightened quickly. But after 20 years they noticed one person, then he said don't do this. This was the rule. Second, another person, don't do that. So now, this was for the future. Now when we come to today, a person who doesn't do these mistakes or these perverted ways of doing things, it's difficult not to find. Because anything without a purpose, you are doing it, is a perversion. Say for example, you eat all the food, not to appease your hunger. In other words, you are living to eat. You are not eating to live. There's a very famous so like when you are doing like that, surely something will start to, which we don't know slowly, start to affect our lives. So same way, so the Buddha knowing the dangers, as I told you, 2 things he focus his rules on, which has main attraction. One is celibacy and the other one is with food. Okay? But more than these 2 also there is something which really eats your brain. Do you know this? If anyone really, I must be your president, if anyone really gets this. Can you tell? This is very hard one. Other than food and all these things, there's one thing the master says that this can really, drain your energy. Don't run away from it. Okay. No, it's kind of bad. It will be difficult. What would you like? The greatest disturbance, how to say do this, how to show, can, okay, if I tell, for example, who is the organizer of this place here, this program? I mean, this hall and this program, is there an organizer? I mean, like, who is it? You! Oh my God! My friend, I thought each, like, they are taken, Anyone organizing another place? Because I can't, any other place, any gentleman here who is present? No, nobody. Sorry? No? Okay. So what is this gentleman's name? I don't know. Gnanaloka?
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes.
That's his name. So
If I tell now, Yasas is a great person, he is doing so much, lot of activity to organize and so on. Now with the mic, when I say this can be the greatest poison. Okay. This is rush. If you check your body, just check it out. I mean, I wish I could take some other. Feel how. Now I have done it like this. In Sri Lanka they worship, I have told some people, you stand up. In a lot of crowd, I just want to give this, some message from my knowledge I want to share. So I told some of the organizers, some of them, I tell them to stand up. Because I don't want them organizing especially now in this, my mission, say programs and go to hell. I don't want them to go to heaven. So this happened in the ashram in Sri Lanka. Is a very tough place, Here is very, very nice, very different. They are so, spiritual greediness is so much there. Super spiritual greediness. So anyway, then I told one of them to stand up and told someone little elder and someone little younger, I told him to worship. And they said, in Sri Lanka the culture you have, they do worship the elders and things like that. It's in the culture. So when I asked, what did you feel? He said, I thought I'd bless him and so on. Really, you have to bless yourself because you must not allow that poison to go. Not to even picture this person is worshipping you. They are worshipping this impure body, this illusion. Now, for example, say I'm walking like this. This is some karma. These flowers are put and so on. Okay, it's good for you. I'm not telling, okay, for you it's good karma. But I have to save myself. I must think it could be thorns in the other way. So fame and sort of, love satkar, it is more strong. It can be that eat your brain so much. And the other way, to be upset when someone is insulting you. Both ways. This upset, if you die that time, you're not going to go a good place. And the other one just rush, adrenaline rush of people praising me and so on, So that time, better to be really focused. May not the demon enter through this. Where am I? I'm also lost with this topic now. So okay, that is the two things I was telling, the sensual, the tongue, and this thing that I was telling, grave offense that Buddha has made. Now, he told, if you break the two rules, when you're breaking to that extent, that is a sensual experience. Now, for example, in the sexual experience, when it comes to the peak of the experience, you will be breaking this in case you get tempted and this thing, when you say you're a monk and this happens to you. And then if it breaks that, very interesting how the MRI scan shows the reptilian brain, how it works. The reptilian brain takes over the entire brain. So I was just wondering how these masters have seen this, know this. It shuts down that thinking and it damages the part that we activate wisdom and all that. So this completely takes over. So so this is something, so it might take 1 month, 2 months to recover back. So these things create addiction also. Now with that, certain negative forces. So this is something I wish from the age of 14, the schools, the children, they get to know. And even if others, because these habits are gone through in our this thing, so now it also comes with our relationships. In our relationship, so sort of I tell to get married is like becoming a monk, I tell this always. Because how boring the person you have a relationship, you stick to that person. It's out of commitment principle. If you get, so this is something, you will get mental peace by that. This is like a protection you get. Protection to your mental peace. I explain a lot of couples, especially some organizers also, how that, how they complain sometimes, my wife is not the best of wives. Like, it's always so. If you find a perfect wife, tell me, I will wear my clothes and have a wife also. Because how should I suffer with all these ropes? If there is that nice way? No, and I'm sure if someone is lying, and I know very soon, it's no matter of time, they are going to curse the wife. I told you about that book that was written about, in Cuba, I told about that there's one book written how to find a perfect wife. Husband, or how to find a perfect wife. Cuba, no. So then, I think this book must be out now. You can better, if it's too late, better you get it. And there, so one gentleman has gone, I think, in Southern Africa, which is now maybe quickly out. He went there to see him, because I know only that bookshop. In America, I don't know what are the bookstores. So anyway, he went there and he asked he couldn't find the book, of course. Then he asked the cashier, where is that book, How to Find a Perfect Wife? He said, oh, go to the fiction section. It's true. So, if you have this wisdom, no problem, you will not have, at the age of 80, you will not have another wedding if you have this wisdom. Because if you don't have this wisdom, you may be a billionaire, but you are not having the knowledge about life. What is going on? What is the nature of life? You will go on, even at the age of 80, you are thinking that your dream, your illusion, but you don't know the nature of the world. If you know this nature, you will be at peace. You will know to perform if the wife or husband run away, that's beyond your control, but you are not going to do that mistake. You have an understanding, when you do like that, then also you have mental peace. There are people who have done this mistake, that's karmas, that comes back to you. Means no point doing, you may try to immediately do crash programs of, tranquilizing and all that, but they're not long lasting. So some of the people, when they ask advice from me, Bhante, how to practice mindfulness and all that, I would say them, go and pay your loan, or make your mother happy. Otherwise I would say, make your wife happy. Then mindfulness will increase. You start like that, then only you become solid, So these are very important. These are what affects your mind, consciousness. If you create a fire around you, you get burnt. You can't escape. So you learn to, it's very important. So this is also very important. Loans also, you have loans to pay, of course. Okay, you're paying slowly. That's all right. I think many of the things in this part of the world is happening, mortgage and things like that. Okay? So it's all right. You are doing a job and all that. But it should be manageable. Otherwise, if you have parents, you must make sure that you're trying to make them happy. It's most important. If you're a husband, a wife, you must make them happy. Especially if you are doing the spiritual path, if you are really developing spiritually and peacefulness, your surroundings they should feel nice, they will fall in love. Now many think that practicing this will make you a monk or something. No. If you're a wife, it will make you a super wife. If you're a husband, it will make you a super husband. If you're a child, it will make you a super son. How? Say for example, your wife, once I remember one lady, she comes and worships me. And their whole family is quite devoted, they are really devotees of mine. And suddenly situations come that, where you get, situations come in life where, suddenly certain mistakes happen. So she comes and worships and says, Bhante, and she cries, I know something wrong. I said, what's wrong? And then she says, Bhante, my husband is carrying on with somebody, with the working place, and I just can't bear it, I don't know what to do. Then I told, okay, you see, now because you got so attached and you're really disappointed and really you like to hurt the person, okay? So now, if you had this practice of having some detachment, that is going to self-realization, you practice these things, you will do your duty to him. And the other thing is, he's also not doing because he's like it, something drives him. And he must be thinking, oh, what am I doing inside? Because of that fleeting
temptation, and I see that unseen negative force is also behind in both parties. That's how this falling in love happens. I researched this, how it happens. Sometimes the person is not handsome or beautiful, but you just feel attracted. Then I noticed that it was the invisible certain forces that connect you and just creates that rushing or hormones. It's very funny, very interesting. And soon, sometimes, because they are also fallen souls, and normally when you are connected and when you get a child, means you get to have a relationship and you have a kind of and that soul comes into that body. And then you don't feel attracted. Very interesting. Because it has done its job to get born. It's very interesting. These things happen. And then you find suddenly, who is this person? This is a very rascal. He doesn't want to look out. You left this husband, and this husband also is. It's like, you are nowhere. This happens to one of my close devotees. I never forget. And because, this very. So what happened? I told her. I don't know. I didn't tell her this part, but anyway, I told her how. Now you can't have. If you know, he also must be having these difficulties. That. So what you can do. But you want to have courage and you have to have some separateness, If you can have that thinking space, you can, if you meet him next time, you can tell him, you are going through a bad period, don't worry. I will do some, maybe Bodhi Puja, some blessings for you. But you must be free to, if you are really free, you can say like that. He will get some relief. I mean, to think someone understands my end, actually the person will fall in love with you more, isn't it? So this can only happen if you can sort of be detached and then you become a super wife, a super husband. And you will not do selfishly to the person. I don't know why I'm talking about all of this. But you all face this situation, right? A lot. So anything, a question from that I will speak. Now enough, I give a lot of information. And maybe something you like to ask? Today was a question and this thing, and how we went to a discourse. Anything you would like to ask on a topic, or I could explain from that? I like to touch about the illusions of consciousness and motives of self-realization needs, but I would really like to get from a question and see how to talk from that. Make it interesting for me also. Other than just sharing some points and tips. Or now all of you are fully enlightened, is it? No question. No, you have nothing, or what is it? Nothing? Now we have to think about how to manage the Indians now, right? But you can eat jelly, no problem.
Okay, so sometimes when you're conversing with someone, sometimes you get feelings of let's say they disagree with you and
you're conversing, talking with them.
Yeah, and then you're trying to clear up the misconception. So you sort of feel like you've done wrong or something like that. How do you do it?
Okay. Yeah, sometimes you're thinking correctly, but you can't control the other people, right? They just think another way, but you worry about their thinking when you attach to it. Okay, you want them to think this way. So, and if you don't care about it, no problem. So, but this happens at your age. Okay? So normally, I have a nice way how it happens, but when a kite is, when the wind is taking away a kite, give this thing. And there may be a chance then, like the person, if you go behind trying to convince another person, he becomes more confused. He runs away from the problem. But if you keep away, then there are great chance of the person really begins to understand what you want to convey. And also you must see why you want to convince someone. You must check what is the root of this. Why you can't, why do you not worry about some other person who is, that I don't want to need to
whether they should understand you. Why this person? Then you must check your attachment to this particular person. And you should know that this is one part of the suffering of attachment. Little something is given and more suffering is given. So if something happens, let it happen. I face too, because it takes so. I have gone through these experiences too. Luckily, I was not born like an arahant or enlightened person. Then I can't relate to you. So up till 2011, that time one of my masters said, this is your last part of your karma. And all these explanations I give is connected with my personal life. And so when, now regarding convincing someone, don't try to convince someone, just let them be. Other thing I must tell you, how our consciousness works with inside and outside is interesting. For example, you go to a crowd, you go to where a lot of crowd is. Now I'm coming to the idea of consciousness, and this might give you some tools also. Say, for example, I come here or any other congregation or some place where people are, and then notice sometimes that person looks egoistic, that person looks full of greed, that person looks, say, I notice. Now when you notice like that, it's nice to go into a corner and write down whatever you have noticed. Maybe egoistic, maybe full of fraudulent, or something, these negative qualities that you notice in others, you write them down. And after writing them down, because normally our defilements, our inner defilements, they thrive, the demons, they thrive in darkness, in the dark dungeons of consciousness. Now when we notice them, it's like shedding a flashlight on it. Because what is within only comes without. This you have to know it practically. So when you notice that these things, you go, this nice exercise, you write down. And you remember the person, maybe a person, then you quietly look whether these emotions happen to you anytime. Honestly, go back to the past and check. Really you look 2 days back when I met these people or anywhere. If you really check those things whether they took place in you, you will notice that it did take place. Now when you notice very clearly with somebody you were a little bit egoistic or you were greedy with some situation, say that time that person is a friend of yours, you phone him quickly and remind him about that time you met him and ask him, can you remember we were talking, what did you feel about me that time? You just ask him. If he takes time to answer, you know, that he feels shy, he feels embarrassed to tell you directly maybe. But then you can see very clearly, practically. Now when you are doing that exercise, you are like shedding a flashlight into those dark dungeons. And those demons, they get excited. They start to dissolve. Okay? Soon you think that externally is something and you are separate. You are in the darkness. When you know it's reflecting from what is within you, is that you know that you are meeting, and when that purity, then when you are doing that, the consciousness starts to get purified. And the very interesting thing, when those qualities are slowly going away from you, there is a mystical force that goes and changes those people. Now, if you really experiment on this, you notice the very people you were critical or judgmental a bit. After you have done this sometime, they start to change. It's funny, you know, it's a mystical force that goes, because you change, the world starts to change. There's a big complaint to me when I was in Washington DC. Because some of the devotees, they came to me, and he was, I think, an American gentleman. And so he's a long devotee of that temple, and he was very, you know, like, yeah, something, you know, I really felt connected to him, I might be able to serve the local people. No? I was just thinking about it. Because I'm really thinking, if I come to America, I should be serving the Americans. If I go to China, it's the Chinese. I mean, of course I come a little bit walking, this is just to give my blessings. And this is the first time, I don't know, when I came to this part of the world, that when I was making a prayer or wish in his
his home, when I first entered there, I suddenly saw Donald Trump and the nation. And I was praying for him, I don't know. It's just that I don't know how the feeling came because I don't really focus on any particular person. But I saw the nation and these people and this. And then when I was in Washington, this gentleman was telling me something, like how the Greenpeace or not Greenpeace, environment movements are like confused now. And they are like, they are not, so all he was feeling very negative. And like he was also getting caught up how to remove or how to finish this or something. Luckily I was there with him. Then I slowly, showed him how, his negativity is going to keep Donald Trump much longer. That is the vote he's going to put. If he can manage to have, not to be so concerned, why is he so getting involved externally? He's getting distracted with the illusion of life. And he's not really getting the vision of, so he's not going to control his destiny. Soon you begin to not to worry about something, you're going to solve the problem. You understand? Then only miracles start happening. Because natural ways, when you act naturally, the natural things happen. When an unnatural way you do, then miracles start to happen. So even if some problem is there tomorrow, if you not, I can't tell long stories how I did. Like, when you start not to worry about it now, you remain in the present moment, you see miracles could happen. But that you have to remind, you have to see, you have to feel the touch and slowly pay your attention. Not tomorrow light bill or something, or some loan you have to pay, someone told to meet tomorrow at the office or something. This happened to me, I told these stories. It would be long if I explain. These are very good practically. But when you go to that real scenario at that time, suddenly you find you are worried also. And then you get some unusual answers also. So this gentleman, I told, he got a smile, he said, there's no problem. I was thinking wrongly. Why am I putting all this dustbin into my head? He came to peace. So it's just a wrong, to think, to learn to think, to correct the thinking. Wherever you don't think in a way that creates friction and worry, that you have to always watch you are wrong somewhere when you feel something disturbing you. And check where it's wrong, where you are attached to and so on. So I'd like to have a question from you all and then maybe, I could. Who asked me the question? Oh, you asked, no? Yeah. Do you get an answer for that? Kind of, right? And the other thing is, if someone is there where you find that he doesn't understand you, or he doesn't you try to explain, first step is avoid him for some time, completely. Completely keep away from that object. Then some force will also go. Time, you will allow time to send the message. And more you can keep away, so you learn to, forget about the problem. So forget one way, physically keep away. And then mentally, other one is mentally not to think about. So then the people will start to understand. Even if they understand also, then no problem when you are in that kind of mental state. If they don't, no problem. We have no control. Sometimes my father didn't understand me for 10 years. Just imagine. Even now they don't, I don't think. They still see the same baby and boy and so on. They are supporting him and the organizers and the still they are coming. So I see sometimes some of my devotees understanding they could do the practice. Of course my mother was also, she was someone who saw through and through. When I first started, but that time I was not like this with your jeans and t-shirt. Someone calmly meditating, in parties he's meditating and eating. He looks mad, right? This is how my life I used to go for a disco. My relations take me for this disco and all that. The blue elephant, and then I sat down and watched the skeletons dancing. And this all, then I thought, I don't have to go for these places. Though my relations call me, so I was very naive also, And then I decided next time not to go like that. Then dinner stopped one by one. So the last thing I gave up was playing cricket. Actually I was attached to that. And then I knew you can't play two games, Either you have to meditation game and this. And
when I gave up something, I knew something was coming to me more and more. So now also I know that if I go to Himalayas or jungle more, that I'll get something more. So, anything else? Someone want to yes?
Someone answered with your permission, and actually I am from army. So when I was trained and I was told that the stress is bad.
Stress is bad.
Yeah, but sometimes it may lead to a success. For example, and if you have to do something extreme, and if you are stressed and you tend to study, you tend to do research, and you tend to research on that, and that will lead to success.
I know.
And if you are not stressed and you take it easily and
That's right, I understand.
okay. And what are you?
I remember in Iran or somewhere, some monk was sent to give, because they have trauma and all that after, certain, to remove the. So the main commander said, you can teach them how to, all these techniques and all that, but don't remove the anger that is used, or anger, or the violent emotion they use for war. Don't remove that part. Yeah, I understand. Because you need that, of course you can't do that, without, because I think one birth I would have been in the army, for sure. I really like the army. And I see now, when I was a very young boy, they made, what is this, army suit for me. My grandparents and all that, I never forget. So, and guns, most of the thing, my swords, guns, these weapons were the ones that, but I went to LTT. I stayed, I was walking those days, I was wandering more. I stayed in this place, Gamma Regiment, the last, sorry?
I'm also from Dhamma.
Which year, I think? 2003, where you said?
Yeah, then I was in Kilnochi.
2003?
Yeah.
Kilnochi? Yes. 2003, the war was going, it was under LTT, no?
Yeah, 2000. Yeah. No, in that, just north of Kilnochi, it was Elephant Park.
Sorry?
The place called Paramkar.
Yeah, this was not in 2003, this was under that time until Mahamahari. To Omante was LTT control area, 2003. So Omante, the last regime, they want to stop me actually because they want me to put me into a vehicle and send me that part. I was walking from Gaul. And that time they actually suddenly, because of respect, I asked, is there a conflict situation immediately? They said no. Then I said, then Matthew, I am going to go walking. And they were, so I did go walk through there. But one thing the army used to ask me was, how do you walk in the hot sun, like the tar. The tar when it is touching, now they are surprised to see no slippers, and normally in that area, very hot. Around, of course, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, too hot, then I can't manage. There's a way where you pay attention, where, for example, when a cloud comes, you see the road is hot, or when a cloud comes, you suddenly realize that it looks cool, you feel cooler. Now it can't happen in reality. Then you realize the heat is in your mind. The idea of heat is in the mind. It's so interesting. It tells you it is dark and it's cloudy, and it is like cool. It tests your mind and it becomes cool. So fun now. I'm expert on this because I'm always on the road. Then this is very psychologically how it's created. Very interesting. And then also the other, if you don't pay attention, because consciousness happens when you pay attention. So when you don't, if you can really not pay attention, the consciousness doesn't take place. Then the blisters won't come, it won't burn. So because the mind has to come there for that touch to work on it. So about army, and you need these emotions, it's true. But are you retired now?
No, I'm still serving.
Okay. When will you be retired?
Maybe after 7 years.
Another 7 more years ahead, okay. So, but now there's no war in Sri Lanka, right? I know people like Anand, who is that gentleman? Veerasagar and all that, Now they are great Buddhists, they are practicing and all that. So and when he was in serving also, he served the, so you can actually, I would say that surely if you are going for war you need, but when I found, some met me in the jungle, some of the army, the soldiers, I should tell the young boys, I should tell them, you shoot in the sky. You get the gun, you shoot in the sky. Don't worry, it's better to die than kill. I should tell like that. But of course, the war, because now I see, our ex-president, I feel I don't want to talk of any particular person, really. The war, it's okay, it's all okay. You see, that's something, but still, this is still showing, using the, if you look at it in a rational means like in the modern way, you call him a political hero. When he called him a political hero, like overcoming an entire terrorist organization with all these particular things. But who knows karma and who knows rebirth? If I had more power at that time, I must tell you, I would have tried to melt the hearts of the LTT. I would have gone, taking them as my brothers really. And little bit I did actually when I was walking through, a lot of things happen in this thing, but if someone more powerful, who is having a great position in the country, but this is like knowing the power of kindness, you call it the soft power. But if you know the brute power, this I had when I was a young boy, I used to hit people when blood comes. And if that psychology, that kind of understanding went, I would join the army. Now when I was walking across jungle and when I was going, some of the army people, the commander used to ask, if you were in the army, you would have done a great thing. But they don't know that as a monk I am doing also a very great thing. How? I am raising the consciousness, taking them, saving them out of moving their hearts. Now if some of them remember that song, that monk while they are getting a shot, look, he was at peace and so on. It can take them, it can face death more better, and it might take them into a better state. So I am sure, only I can tell, I can only wish that, now of course there's no war now, no problem. So it's okay these 7 years, but otherwise, while now you can also, there are a lot of people like another gentleman I know, they were meditating, they practice meditation. And if you really serious, I am sure, you can completely, slowly one by one, if you are put into a position where roughness or this thing is there, you must think, I am born today, now to go into a higher plane. Not just to, sort of raise our consciousness, not to allow this sort of human birth, this opportunity to sort of, just to eat and drink, I'm going to raise my consciousness. So one is drinking, slowly, one by one. In such a situation, so one by one, killing is not happening now. So that also, it can happen sometimes when there is a kind of orders are given, certain, because there could be hidden things happening also. But if you think that today I'm going to make a stand, it is going to spread that mentality. Arakiani Konda telling, to have a strong back and to stick to your principles. There are some commands, I think, Kopekadua and people like that. There are people still sort of respect it. Any other question? I hope it answers your questions. But I like army people, I don't know why, I just like, I see myself as a monk, as a commando. I call my brother monks, we are commandos. We should be like that, don't be like a baby, I tell, like dogs. But this is to fight your emotions, to get focused. Even if a dog comes running, a bear comes here, how to control your fear. If someone scolds you suddenly, to see that, to keep your meditation object and to, watch, and then to stop reacting. That is our, if you don't react to a situation, that is, we have managed to send a bullet. Right target. Any other question? I hope I can touch this Nibbana part. Someone tell you to pick my brain in that direction.
Okay. You are from Sri Lanka.
Yes.
It's a nice country.
Me too.
Yes. yeah, there are lots of good things in Sri Lanka. But we have left all the good things and we have come here, this country. Now, for example, this time of the year, the day is so bad, you can't even go outside without driving so many things.
Yes.
So we have come here for little things.
Yes.
Then in your case, you described how you came very close to death by going to things like the Kailash.
Yes.
So what's the reason? Why
I'm going to Kailash or one coming to America? What is?
Kailash?
Oh, Kailash.
Why don't you do the same thing in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, very good, very good. I know it's a question asked from me. I understand. It's a good question. It's true. I don't recommend anyone to go like that. The reason is, I would say that I'm trying to retrieve my spiritual treasures. I would say that. Because I have one dream, tell you honestly. I didn't wear this robe. Now even going through LTP and all that, those things, I had a reason for these things. Just to show monks have some power. Because in this modern day, like monks are also like, it's like, who are they? Like, I'm not telling with ego, but I'm thinking, still I'm pursuing this, remember. That the monks have some power. Now sometimes I'm in deep jungle. Now recently, a few months back, I got a chance to go to Kabilita. You know Kabilita? Have you heard? In Java, Kabilita, from there 1 kilometer, there was a hut. It's deep in the jungle. There was an army point there. And this was a great chance for me to do my meditation with the bears and very full jungle. I mean, this is for me like going to Disneyland. Okay? Not Disneyland. So, if you want to give me some now in Melbourne, they wanted to take me now. The itinerary, it was one program to show the city Melbourne. Later they got to know my kind of Melbourne. So they took me to one old forest, True, this is going to make me happy. This is the last place when buildings are there, my eyes are down. This is because this is not our world. We don't look at illusions too much. We are trained to practice some way. Anyway, what I was telling you. Sorry? Yeah, Kabilita. Thank you. So when I was there, so then these two people went from Colombo also to drop me. It was not easy, you had to go through mud and getting stuck. It's like a safari. You have special vehicles, the cable is put and it has to be pulled out and so on. So we went there. I have been there before also, but this time to drop me, they went. So the army, they also saw me. They suddenly saw, oh, this gentle monk. How is he going to stay all these bears and all that? They go 3 or 4 together. They are so frightened. So they all with a group, they went and they dropped me. And they came. And the whole night, they are talking, I got to know. Because they are talking, now all my 2 devotees and the army, they were like thinking, how is that monk staying in the jungle? Now they know the night time, like you feel nervous about the place. Then they got the idea, why? Why we are soldiers, we are trained in this and that, and why are we frightened so nervous? Because we have families and we are attached to that, we are frightened to die. Simply that. Because that's what we imagine in case something happens, but we die. So some asked me this hard question also. One day, like, you are going to Himalayas, going to jungle, what have you attained? This is sometimes they ask, recently no one asked me this question. So I look back and now they expect me to tell I have attained this or some naming. But actually I don't want to name or we don't know. I don't have a Buddha to sort of prove it. So I look back also and check what I have got really, when I look back, I think that if someone is going to come now and say I'm going to shoot you, I think, or I know if someone says you're going to die now, and I feel I'm going to die, I don't think anything better I have done than what I have been doing. In other words, I am killing the illusion itself before that death happens. Death happens to some object, in the body or consciousness. So when you begin to see what this really is consciousness, all this meditation is not to go to jungle just to stay, and you must also stay. In that solitude you contemplate. And you begin to have glimpses of who you are. Is this Gnanaloka. You begin to see, like actually what is told by these enlightened masters, you have perceptions of it. And it removes your whole, the heaviness, your connection to the world. And you experience world next time more peacefully, without the nightmare in it. You're in the nightmare, knowing it's a nightmare. It's a big difference. Knowing it's a nightmare, a dream. If you're not knowing and staying, it's really a nightmare. You feel so real. But when it's like that now, so for example, like my grandmother, she was so helpful to me, of course. She's the one who introduced me to my teacher and all these monks. So she became like a vegetable towards the end, So I was going to the Himalayas and slowly I quickly went to visit her. That's also a lot of devotees. Then the flight was in the morning and the night I just dropped by and I knew this would be my last meeting because she might be dead by that next coming. So my auntie and uncle, they were also there. And they looked at my grandma and their face going like this, like so identifying and so much. And they see me, they know that she loved me more than anyone. But then I should be really upset. Not them, they were jealous also that time a little bit because my grandma always protective, she had a lot of devotion, of course, and she really believed. So then, when I was seeing from my inner mind that this is consciousness. It's not mine. This body is not. The grandmother, we are given a name. That same body. To the daughter, it is mother. For me, it's grandmother. For the uncle, is mother-in-law. How can it be changing like this? His consciousness is actually not. His consciousness is creating this picture. So, I told you yesterday, right, like you shake from here, like ice. You see the whole picture is shaking. You check. If you touch here and look at something, and think from there, I can see that, what was it? You see how with the eyeball, the consciousness is present. And if you can just check the consciousness arise using your body. If you had no consciousness whatsoever, there's no, and with this experience only, you feel something, perceive something. This is the factors of consciousness. I'll explain more, okay? Don't worry, don't forget your you must be wondering what is going on. Because I got into a track of thinking. I like to explain this because this might is touching the. So the factors of consciousness is perceiving, feeling. Now, if someone scolded you or something, you remember it was an experience. It was an experience. That means you didn't get a scolding. It is with the ears and the sight. Sight means you had eye consciousness that time. It was not in darkness you heard someone scolding. There's no darkness and emptiness and something, some sound. And there you recognize it's a scolding, it's perception. But if you remember, go back to that, now you may worry about it and think sad about it. But you go back to that situation and remember what the masters have told, that is consciousness, feelings. You perceive it as John, some name of a person. But it's just perception. It came and finished. It rose and now it's in a form of memory. So if you go through that, so it's an illusion. There if you had some worry or this thing about it, you will find you will be at peace. You know it was not you there. So this observing is a way to enlightenment, to know who this you is. And then it's like a screen, In the screen, you get all these projector falling, all these pictures. The screen with the blank, this thing is like the empty mind, empty the consciousness, pure consciousness they call it. Vinyana without the five sense impressions. So if you can separate and not identify, the biggest thing that any problem in the present or in the past memory you feel, because you get a sense of self in it. You understand? Even the pain in the body, if you begin to look at the pain and then sort of watch that and see whether it's you. You know it's only a pain, it's not me. If it's me, I can make it to pleasurable pain or feeling. You can't control it, means it's something alien to you. Just these simple things, if you watch and tell yourself this contemplation, there you find you will free yourself from any pain. Either it's emotional or physical, because you will not take it personally. But not to take it personally, you have to look at what you are taking, what it is really. Then you will know, you can name, if you remember some name of somebody, it's my mother who hurt me. Okay, who is the mother? That was a consciousness. Did you even know your mother before you say the womb even? When you tell, this idea was given to you by mother, this is your mom, this is your father. This information was given, that perception was created in you. And with that creation, then slowly this idea came. So then, the problem is we have got used to getting this idea of I, associating the body and feelings and perceptions. Can you think of a sense of I to an empty thing? Can you? Can you think of you experiencing something in the future without feeling something and smelling or feeling, experiencing something? So you can see the I is a sense of I. There's no really an I. Something that is really you should be, not something changing. Understand? So when you look into that now, when you practice like this should be practical also. Now I also tell sometimes, like in the teachings, it tells the nature-wise. So they explain like, the nature, the hard nature here, the hard nature is simply nature. So then you don't think it is hard, this is Gnanaloka here. This naming comes, it's a concept, a conceptualizing. So, if you take it now, reality now in the electron form is more final. When you take all of you as electrons, how is it? If I saw electrons, do I see pictures of anything? That perception don't happen. It's just empty thing of all electrons. Okay? So, but the Buddha's time there was no idea of electrons. So he explains in terms of nature-wise. Hard nature, hard is hard nature. Liquid nature of the blood or saliva, these things which predominates. Then the water tap, the water running or the river. So you have to silence your mind to picture. You are breaking the illusion. That's why tranquilizing and all that is not just for having good life of peacefulness. Is to become self-realized. So when self-realization is to look at like this, to see how the conceptualizing takes place. And if you take them apart, how the idea of it's a concept, like the urine you have, until it's in your bladder, you feel it's my urine. When it goes into the toilet, so this is in the masters how they make you to analyze and watch this thing, so that slowly the ego begins to dissolve. And when it dissolves, all your problems, emotional problems, all that, they just by chunk begins to dissolve. Immediately you are at peace. So, we have a sister, they do it this time also, I think. Oh my goodness. I will come to your question, don't worry, okay? I have not forgotten. But I went into a nice topic, I want to come to this because this. Now I must tell you, when I did these practices, now these are in the old texts. When you, in the old sutras, it explains the text, I'm telling you, this is your GPS. And you need a GPS to get enlightened also. Right? I told you the meaning of GPS before, no? Guru Position System. Okay. That is, this is, you can't just, so now normally we are learned, okay, science also shows you some reality. It teaches you it's true. But here, this is about a final reality. The science reality is still applied for material things. It doesn't help you to die. Do you understand? Now when you begin to this understanding, this kind of science, And realization, self-realization helps you to die. In other words, you don't die. You begin to know what dies is not you. It's an illusion, and you don't experience that fear. That fear reduces. So if you, this is the biggest fear we can experience, right? So any other fears also you will not feel when you practice these things. This is the purpose, my friends. It's not something to wait until you die to experience this happiness. It is something to be done when you are now today, when someone is insulting you, scolding you, or you do feel uncomfortable. You'll be able to look at it from that point of view and see, and not to react. You will not react automatically. Because if you don't feel it properly, you will not react. If you feel the pain, you will automatically react. So, this conceptualizing is something, I want to demonstrate like the 4 elements, The Buddha explains the 4 elements like hard nature, like that. You take them apart, you mentally you take them apart, then you begin to see that there is no person there. So you have to allow it to bake in your head. You don't rush through that observation. So normally we rush because our minds are still tranquil, not enough. So that's why all this practice of driving without stress, eating without indulgence, without losing energy, all these are done to create that brain, the level to have that peacefulness. With that peacefulness, you will be seeing these beautiful truths about life. That means break. Now the purpose of monks is to remove, destroy the illusion. That means the illusion is taking place in consciousness. Say for example, you take food, you eat, okay? Now when I did these things in Australia, someone think now these are too much practices. No, my friends. If I can do, you can do. When you can do, you will see so many problems just fall off. So I used to tell about how to control the tasting when you are eating the food. So they were doing this, like when you are touching, the food is touching, how the tongue consciousness takes place. Say in the consciousness you have feeling, perception. In the perception it tells you, this is ice cream, this is pizza, this is something, this, that. Okay? When you stop munching that consciousness also stops, isn't it? When you eat another pizza, another part, then when it's touching, it's creating that mind, that consciousness. Now when you see only while it's touching, it's happening. When it's not touching, it's not happening. Then while happening that, you get the sense, I am feeling, I am experiencing. So, but the eye, when you are not touching, what happens to that eye? It disappears. Can you have an eye that comes and disappears? Then it is only a misunderstanding of eye. Now my friends, actually you are munching a muck inside your mouth. When you are eating, it is a muck. Do you like to see someone else eating? Normally it's rude, we say it's not table manners to, open your mouth and make a sound and eat. You're supposed to eat? Okay. I remember my grandma, they're smaller than you. She should tell, Buddha, Kandeva, can you touch me here? Buddha, eat your food, closing your mouth, son. And the way she says, not like my mother. My mother, she's so attached, she wants you to be perfect everything, and then so she gets angry with you. But grandmas are different. They're so, like the way they say is so kindness and so much patience, and you never forget that. So she used to do, I never forget, she used to touch me and say, I think she has come many lives with me, I feel this, When I was born, she actually told, this is my Buddha-Putta. Buddha-Putta. Funny, but she didn't want me to become a monk, of course. She was so attached. She said, when I'm dead, you can become a monk. To the end, she was so attached. But through her only, I got all this. Fantastic. My master, I went through her, it's funny, She was so pious lady and she loved the monks so much. Anyway, so when you are eating, say you take the food, you look at somebody else, what do you see? You see plainly what is happening. When you are eating, you are imagining, you are not eating the food, you are eating your thoughts.
You see, you're eating, like now they have, for vegetarian, they make what is this? Soya. Okay? But soya, they make it like meat. To give that picture. So, for example, so this is very interesting to see, like even food, any other food you take, it's very interesting how the consciousness, so you separate the consciousness, you take the consciousness away. So if you look at plain the other person eating, how do you feel? You see the plain, it's a mug. So if you can picture the mug, or you can look how it arose, the feeling and how it, if you can keep that mindfulness, you will see the illusionary nature of the sense impressions. So when you do that, even the other illusion about son, child, husband, wife, that also will diminish. Because you find it's a fresh part. We are getting mind. We are actually, the eyes are not seeing anything, my friends. Eyes are just fresh, equal to the dead body. Do you understand? Now coming to a little bit interesting topics. It's a dead body. It is consciousness that is making this picture. It's a thought. So even the body, though the sense of eye also, is with feelings you get. Now say example, you're seated, I told you yesterday, like your legs are numb. And if your legs are numb, if you don't see from your eyes, you get a sense, you get a feeling whether my leg is there, isn't it? Say, if someone cuts a piece of your leg and go, that time maybe you don't notice it. But when you see, when you feel the blood flows, you get a sense, this is me. So when you begin to notice like that, this will loosen your illusions, your attachment to your children, to your family. All these things will reduce. Then will make you a super husband, super wife, super mother. Because otherwise there were some of my great grandparents who were practiced like that. And they were great strength for the whole family. They didn't get emotionally excited when something happened. Now, but today, even my other relations, because they don't claim this mind, they get, they really upset the family more. Because they are so excited. So when you practice, this is when I'm just telling you about these illusions, it's very important. So when I explain in Australia, they start to practice this. They start not tasting the food. And some of them they told how they normally feel stressed and this thing like one lady, she came especially to pay respects because while the program was going, her husband was putting the cell phone and she was able to hear it from somewhere. And she was having, I don't know, paranoia, I don't know what, so many, paranoia, hypertension, so many problems psychologically. And she said something happened to her that she felt that it all went away. And so she wanted to come and pay respects to me. And then said, Bhante, I don't now feel all these things. Now, today also there is this supervisor who is coming to check my work. Normally when I am going for such a supervision, this thing, I get not hypertension, but gastritis and all these things. But none of it now I feel nothing. Because they are able to cut those energy losing things immediately and then your brain immediately gets cured from all this suffering. But you don't know a way out of it. And you think these practices are only there for monks. Right? You understand? No, my friends. These are to be done. I'm not telling you. You don't have to wear a robe or anything. When you do these things, you will find your life is fully experienced. Now I want to just do the last part. How this idea of self comes to your this thing. I need someone's hair, Anyone donate their hair for? I know ladies can't, but they have a lot of hair. So, yeah? Yes. Okay, very good. Very good. Yeah, I'm going to cut a little bit. Not too much where nobody sees. Anyone want to donate their hair? Just one gentleman. So men are so much detached, you see. Just imagine. Quite a humble. ඉතින් ලංකාවේ කරලා මාව හම්බුණා. ඉතින් චෙක් මා චෙක් වැඩ කළා. වඩි අම්මා දෙන්නා ඉතින් මම ඔඩිට් ෆර්ම් එකේ මැනේජ්මන්ට් ඒජ් වලට වැඩ කරා. උතර තමයි ටොයිලට් එකේ භාවනා කරේ එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එක. I want to tell in the toilet I meditated. I explained these things, I didn't have time today, but how you do this practice in your working place. Now he was good, I'm sure I would have been there, but I didn't take responsibilities also. There in Hades only, I gave rules to myself. I told I'm not going to look at any ladies. Control so sometimes my finance controller can photo printed. I don't know her name. One lady there. And we have to give our report to her, so that's very interesting. Sorry? I can't remember the name and all that. Anyway, so when I should just slightly look whether she's coming, because not nice because I knew this practice done in the working place, then that karma is going to be replaced. This is not to become a monk immediately. While you are in that situation, if you bring that practice, it's more powerful than being a monk in the jungle and practicing. So these are good old times, and I remember because of I really didn't like it, but I had to do it because my meditation was not going well, and then I knew something, I had to make a change. And for 2 years I was in different companies, but it was very helpful. So here just I want to, just to give you an idea, you have a nice child, I'm going to So how much you feel this is you? You do feel that very much, huh? I feel sorry to cut your hair. No, it's okay. I will cut it where no one sees. Only the crows will see. Okay. Now how much you feel it's you? Sorry? It's not you. Yes, it does. Just imagine, just look at it. Those days, Buddha's time, when they cut hair, that time they saw the truth. They saw it. This secret is there in a very fine way, my friends. I'm trying to bring you to a very practical, see, my main job is to make you now to realize this. Not to put a lot of knowledge into you. This is actually, just imagine, because it was in his space and it was also feeling, because when I put the feeling there, the sense of I. Now this cutting must be done with your mind. It's going to go into the museum, okay? There's a program in, where is this place? New Jersey, is it? Yeah. One monk came and demonstrated the no self. This is very important. Just think of it. This is for your practical purpose. This is simple, this thing. Now if you can think like that, if your wife or husband is scolding you know something, if you can be in focus of that, you will not feel it's me that being scolded and someone else is scolding. There's no person there, nor here. It's only a mental idea, but you have to keep focus of that. It's a mental picture, that how much you can mentally see this and keep it with you. That's the person Buddha says who is, who is supposed to be the learned monk. It's not having so much knowledge. So there in real situation, you will not feel the sufferings of life. You will not feel the pleasures also, because pleasures are suffering in disguise. Because it's fleeting. So, now when I explain this, I'm just giving you an idea. When you read some of I'm telling you your GPS should be, what the Buddha has told, certain, the discourses I recommend for you to go through some of the discourses, the old discourses, directly a translation. One I would suggest, I don't know, not everybody, like a word of the Buddha, one called Word of the Buddha, Gnanaloka. This is a small book, a handy book. I will just do the last part now. Through that, it's about animals. The hard nature, he explains like that.
And he says like now with reeds and brushes, bricks and all that, a hut is made. The idea of hut is an idea, but you take them apart. No, same way a vehicle. If you take the junk part by part, you see the concept of a vehicle is there when they are together. So same way the body with flesh and sinews, you get the idea of person. But if you take them apart, it is not a person in reality. So that meditation, one meditation, where you take them apart and you just learn to bake that idea and relax. And when you do that very much, your mind, that part of the brain, the part of wisdom starts to open up. And then when someone, now I know something, yesterday, after I did this after the program, today morning my wife, my husband, scolded me, and then suddenly I remember these are elements, and I was thinking about it and waiting, and I just go back. So this should happen. This is the purpose. And because then you are not pretending you are not getting angry, anger will not come. Desires won't come. When it is for children, to husband and all. Without desire, you can perform better duty. You enjoy better. Because you are less selfish, more selfless, and then you will be, it's a very... So, this is very important to separate, and so on. I will keep it. What's the time? Martin? What time did we start? Thank you. We already passed 3 hours now. Okay. So, but you don't feel it much, right? Anyway, Gnanaloka is so I call it my kind of abhi. You know abhi? Ganja? Cannabis? Because your brain part starts to function, and then that part you don't feel time. Don't feel stress. So from the words, the energy is going also. It's happening. This what happened. So but my energy also going. Okay. So I will answer your question why I'm going to Himalaya so much. My main reason is also I have a good memory also, remember. The thing is that the one main thing is I have an idea of, like I always tell that, like I don't want to be here. One day I want to do something, not by preaching like this, where I feel one day you all will faint. This is one of my dreams, to show this power of the monks, of their purity, something that in this modern materialistic age, in this period. So I have hope, my meditation done in those parts, because those are like energy areas in the planet, that I could reach my goal in a certain way. So I can sort of give life again to this, that they are not just statues or anything, that this is alive again. There are such people who demonstrated this. So this is my actual reason I'm going. I mean every year, even after that I went just last year, I went this year, same place where so I had no problem these 2 years. I had some nice experiences, and after this trip also I'm planning to go. As long as I have the strength and this thing, and I have not achieved what I want to achieve, I'll be good. But to become enlightened, or to know these practices I'm telling you now, you don't have to go. Maybe you become easily enlightened here in New Jersey, because you don't have attachments with relations and all that. Like in South Africa for me, how it can. You have to have the free mind. Not much. You are in a flat hotel. You don't even know who is being the other room. That's the best solitude. Your thoughts, your thinking. It's not you're in the jungle and you have still feeling this one is looking after me and so on. So, but if you have that lonely feeling, that's good enough. Not lonely in a negative sense, you'll be enjoying the loneliness. With Dhamma, investigation, more becomes self-realized. This will be your, that is not then dopamine, that is secret. When you get, this is a special type of, the nerves in the brain start to open. Any last question before I do the last part of meditation? Just 5-10 minutes. And anything you want to ask? So, I told you your... What about you? No? Okay. Somebody asked me why Bhante, you explain so, you always, most of the time you explain your life story and certain things and experiences and okay, now I little bit touch how to contemplate and all this meditation. Why don't, like some monks, they explain an entire sutra and explain that. My mission is actually to make you experience the sutra, not just explain it, to make it an experience. That's why I said now slowly, the cutting of the hair or some idea. These are simple things, but you learn to do these exercises, and then, then you are coming closer to self-realization. You begin to see the illusion of self more and more. For that, the simple observation. Now there are so many other ways Buddha explains, so that you have to, you have to find the one that, but important at least one, just one verse where he explains. You have a mental picture and have a hold on that. When that thought bakes in your mind, you will have a deeper vision of it. And there you will know who these masters are. They are the ones who escape or free from time. Because when you know that you identify with something which does not die. If you think your body is you, death happens to a body. If you think, now if for example, this hair, whatever I do, if I burn it or anything, no problem, right? Still something, Bhante is not respecting my hair. Okay? When I say museum, it's a bit good feeling. Okay? If I tell I'm going to drop it in the toilet or something, it's not very nice when you slightly feel. Okay? A sense of self in there. So, but we can see actually how much we can slowly, it's never ours. All these troubles are created by this particular wrong understanding. So, and especially when you're in the hospital or in crisis situation, if you can watch this, you will immediately free yourself. When I was facing near-death experiences, I was going to this practice. Or sometimes some problems in your life, the surrounding something happen, emotional one, then you can put there. Now emotion is in the consciousness, it's not a physical, consciousness is in the mind. Now you must know the mind does not arise without the body. Can you have a mind just floating around without a body? So if the body is not you, can the mind be you? No. So but it needs to be observed, breathing and contemplated. Then you will have glimpses of like your consciousness like another one. And your body like another. Those glimpses will make you separate. And you are like seeing the drama that is happening from behind the screens, behind the thing. And if that happens more and more, you don't take seriously all these things. You are at peace. You have nothing to achieve, nothing to lose. You just let it happen. Whether someone comes and says, the son is happening this, the husband comes and says this, that. So something like this happened to me when I was 18 years old. I was at home for 10 years more, but I was far away from that world. So we all passed already 3 hours, so I can go on like this, maybe until tomorrow morning. Okay? But now we have to slowly. Any more questions last time? Yes?
Can the thought arise due to something outside of the five senses?
Yes, from the mind itself. Now normally what we have in meditation is mostly from other than the five senses, like peacefulness. It's also a thought, one thought. Samadhi means, concentration means one thought. Otherwise we have the monkey mind, because of the five senses, registering from the five senses. Now when you close our eyes, we remember our monkey. Thoughts are going forward from the five senses. Okay? So when they subdue, when you come to Samadhi, you feel peace and tranquil. That is, you have one thought. That is one thought. Still a thought. So but that is not coming from the five senses. You understand? This is the six organs we have. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. In the mind we have the thoughts. Brain, sorry, in the brain. And then that can come, the spiritual thoughts of peacefulness, tranquility is coming with that. It's a thought coming, this one, not too many. So when you free from that also, is where there is liberation. Because you have a small illusion. Before you have many illusions, you made it too small. But there are more chances of seeing the illusion in that tranquil state. That's the purpose. Tranquil state is to become enlightened, not to just be tranquil. It is wasted. The tranquility is wasted. If tranquility is seen to see the illusion, to be self-realized, super. It's like you have, sharpen the knife and then cutting. Just sharpen the knife, it's just keeping it, no point. There's some purpose of it, to get wisdom. Yes.
So we take take many things as mind. If I group them into two separate groups, say one will be my hair, my nails, other group my fingers, all other body parts. The differentiation between two groups is that, say, if you cut my hair, do anything, I don't feel the pain.
Yeah, okay.
The rest of the part I do feel the pain. You have two groups, so you have sort of a less attachment, because the pain is an important fact that actually injects you the personality belief.
Yes, feeling.
What is it?
Feeling.
Yes. So how do you manage the two things, two groups that I feel as mine?
They fall into one group actually.
Yes, that's true.
It's only what is felt and unfelt, like the nails, the teeth, and all that. That's okay. Even from one you get the idea of no self. You see the whole thing as no self. You understand? You see the illusion in any part, you see. You don't have to see from all. You understand? Like even the cutting the hair was enough to get that insight. When you see one, like one atom, when you get to know, one atomic structure, when you get to know, it is applied to all molecules and all that. Same atoms, many atoms of that is made. So you understand one structure, one thing from that. It's a knowledge you are trying to get. You understand? These are just so many ways that can trigger that knowledge, that realization. That realization is a sense of there is no person here. So if you see in one thing there is no person here, you'll be seeing all the things with that vision. You get it? So you are not trying to see for each part, no, all these exercises. No. The purpose is to get a vision out of it. Thero-Mountain. Ekaki anitya avabodha venna puluwan. Sunya kiyala avabodha, empty kiyala avabodha venna puluwan. From one. So from just one is enough. So this cutting of the hair could make you realize universal selflessness or emptiness or impermanence. So next time when you go to the saloon, all will come enlightened, isn't it? You remember Bhante? I hope so. Don't lose that moment. Don't look at the mirror and check, that is your, just, there's a time to contemplate when they're cutting how you look before and how. It's for a picture, my friends. You bring, that's why we attach to children, husband, wife, it's for a picture. You can't imagine a relationship without picturing somebody. Can you have a relationship with an empty person? Person means something. But now we are going to slowly come to an end, okay? No more questions, right? Anyone else? No? Oh, now you're really 90% enlightened, you see? But I can see most of your faces are bright now. Yes, this is some destiny and karma, and that you will lose all sense of body, fear, at least When you don't understand a single word of mine, some energy will be working. That's why I get delayed, because I have to do my practice and come. I have certain practices, so really this is like, if one of you are taken from program to program, you will know what it is. To speak for say 3 hours, 4 hours, every day. But I also learn, I don't look tired, I don't feel tired, I do it in some way. And for now I'm reading for now 1.5 months, or a little bit more. First Europe, now then England, coming to the America. So, but you already get that peace, that tranquility, some idea, some feeling of lightness. The last part, just do a small meditation. Just look at, relax yourself. Today is Saturday. So you choose to come here, then go for dinner or something, right? I told you about the GPS also, right? So it's nice to contemplate. I don't want to tell any particular, you can take small verses of anything. Because I don't want to, here you have one thing called Word of the Buddha. You can even take from the Bible, dust to dust. Okay, I like you to see truth. You can check any other part in the New Testament. There are so many places. Somewhere where which shows the word is not what it is. It's like empty. It is meaningless. You have to take that part of the verse and apply it to you. Right? This is very important to visualize the word through that. Because the purpose of this is to, now I see, for example, in the entertainment business, the main thing is to create illusion. The illusion creation is the one that makes the people entertained. For example, Michael Jackson, the moonwalk. The moonwalk is an illusion created through the movement of the body, a certain way. So the job of a monk is to break illusions. His entertainment is he breaks and shows plainly what is really going on, the underlying secret of mind and body. The world is nothing but mind and body. When you are unconscious, do you have a world? Nothing. When you are in sleep also. There is no dream, nothing. So actually, one thing I would just, if you ever, I would recommend. Now, for example, little Victoria, I have time like this and also to explain. If you want to really pursue this path, you have to get a proper GPS. Maybe you have found a GPS, meeting me, okay? You have this YouTube clips, you can check that, isn't it? Isn't it? Now you came yesterday, did you? Day before yesterday. And you still say yes, is it? I hope this point is very important. How do you know that I am correct? What I am telling you could be the real time? Because maybe I am a little bit shiny. Who knows? Maybe I apply ninja before coming here. We don't know. We get okay, some good ideas, good practice, but we can't really guarantee just by, you have to live with me for some time and see how am I reacting to difficulties, how am I getting to associate a person to really know. But, the old masters, they have seen this truth. So you must directly go what they have spoken. Now I told about coming there, these are directly what was told that time by the master, and they practiced in the caves and in silent places. And they had this vision. Now we come and explain this, but it could be diluted. So, but it might be interesting more, but I am saying then the master, because they are closer to you in time. But my main suggestion is, if you really want to get that solid experience, you better connect independently. You take me as a good friend who would have given some, or any other monks who come and teach. If if they are really sincere, they will direct you to the original this thing and give you some tips how to experience it. Understand? When you don't attach to a certain monk or certain people or certain YouTube channel or anything. You understand? This is important. I was very reluctant to put all these things in YouTube. But then I had to warn the people. This is what my teachers taught us, my friends. I had great teachers who, even if they're dead and gone, you don't miss them because they showed me where he was a German monk. And but he he foresaw I'll be meeting people. It's very funny the way, he used to tell the devotees are waiting for you, you have to go and help them. This was something also I feel very happy that I'm doing but I was a young monk that time, but I can see my karma with the people. Though I don't feel any connection to the people, but I can see like they have made me long time. This is, but who knows? I can only, so, just a small one and we are going to finish off. Today, so if you have it in your bedside, any of this, just relax yourself and when you are reading these things, you must keep yourself relaxed and carefree, like you are in front of a beach or in a park or something. If you are going to do contemplation, this has to be done like that. So when you are there like that, suddenly you must just pay attention to the sounds you are hearing now. Some babies making small sound, just notice that. And then la 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 something. Just pay attention to the sound that they are speaking. Relaxingly listening to that. When you're relaxingly listening to that, you'll be noticing your in-breathing and out-breathing, your lungs expanding, inhaling and exhaling. I'm not telling you to do that meditation of inhaling and exhalation. You will naturally notice when you're relaxing the body and trying to listen to the sounds. That means you're bringing to the present moment. You notice you are inhaling and exhaling. When you are naturally noticing that, you have come to a good standard of relaxedness. With that thing only you must, if you are reading, you must slowly go through that. The Master says, the solid element, the solid nature, solid aspect. What is this solid aspect? His question. The solid aspect element may be one's own or it may be external. Now what means own means this bodily space. Like when I knock on my cheek, the hardness, the teeth, that is in my space. That is called one's own solid element. And or it may be external. External means outside you, the mic and all these people around me. And what is one's own solid element is question. Whatever is one's own person or body, there exists of karmically acquired hardness, firmness, such as the hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones, marrow. You just slightly picture the bones and all that. That is there, which is having the hardness as its main quality. And he says, now whether it be one's own solid element or whether it be the external solid element, they are both merely the solid element. Now this is where the insight is activated. You just think the hardness of the mic here, hardness of what you call, it is simply the hardness. And one should understand, according to reality, this does not belong to me. this am I not. This is not myself. Until you get that idea of that is not you, you're not imagining, you're seeing the reality. Now he goes to liquid nature, fluid nature. It's same, he goes to your own, what you call in your space, fluid, and what is outside. That is maybe the tap or here. Just the nature of fluidity. You have to mentally slightly picture how the blood is in the body. If you take that blood and the outside tap, can you call it this is you? And then he explains even the air nature, the windy nature, the breathing, and in the stomach, the wind in the stomach. Whether it's inside there and say the breath goes outside, the outside breathing is air, the movement is same. When you picture like that, one should understand according to reality and true wisdom. This does not belong to me, this am I not, this is not myself. This is how the Master is. Just as one calls a hut, the circumscribed space that comes to be by means of wood and rushes, reed and clay, even so we call body the circumscribed space that comes to be by means of bones and sinews and flesh and skin. These are small things, but you happen to get a mental picture of it. You free your hold on your body. You free the mental stress, tension that you are clinging to this body. Just you have to first picture it, the true nature, that exercise, just I'm telling, in a short form. Whenever you are reading these things, you must apply your GPS. In your bed, relaxingly, you can keep it at the bedside. In a relaxed atmosphere, you do this exercise, you are on the right way. When you do this more like this, you must think how peaceful I become, how happy I become, free from any tension, worry. You will lose any worry about the past, the future, and the present. The mind will be free from greediness, anger, and ego, delusion. If this peace of mind increases in knowledge by seeing the truth, may this peace be experienced by all in this hall who are staying. May their minds also experience this. They are human beings, all looking for happiness. May they also get this tranquil feeling. Not only them, like you're going in a helicopter, you slowly see the people around this building in New Jersey, like ants, so many of them. May their minds experience this happiness, peace of mind, this wisdom. Not only them, just especially imagine Manhattan, all this 9/11, all those relations. Those people have to suffer a lot. May they all, their souls be healed. By seeing there was nobody to die, nobody to get hurt. And may that peace of mind through wisdom come to all these human beings. Not only all over North America, Central America, Southern America, then Europe, Africa, Mediterranean, Great Britain, like you're looking from space. India, Sri Lanka, China, a lot of human beings may experience this noble peace. Not only there, Russia, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, Middle East, and Australia, Taiwan, Japan, all humanity, entire planet, all these human beings may they experience this peace of mind. Not only human beings, animals, low beings, from the lowest worlds, the ghost spirits, may they get this tranquility. Not the angels in the higher dimension, the other godly beings, other type of existence, from the lowest worlds to the highest, who are not completely enlightened, all those noble beings to completely understanding there is no person, self, disappearing into liberation, may they all experience that. From the highest state of existence to the lowest states of existence. They are all living beings. You picture them like from outside, and you have these good feelings, thoughts to them. This is a meditation, and this will help you all very much. I'm going to give you all some blessings now. And for this, you just have to take your dinner, but try not to talk. Some energy, like from the mountains, the Himalayas, this is going to come. It's like some energy, cosmic energy. So one important thing, if you keep silence, because these saints, they observe silence for many years. That's how they got this energy. So it will create certain blessings. Tomorrow morning you can talk, try to keep silence. If you have to talk to something, okay. But more you keep silence, this will work in the night. And tomorrow morning you may get some more blessings. But you take dinner and you can read some books, relax, and keep the mind just more calm, the better. So my best wishes for all of you. You will get this. Or support for your practice. Anyone have any particular difficulty? If you feel still is not solved, you can slightly raise your hand just for my notice. That's okay. If you want me to specially give you some blessings, just slightly raise. Okay. Okay. Alright. Let's see. Put that great goose. Just 1 minute. Can you stand up? Not you. Can you tell you to stand up? Can you just stand up and relax the body? Relax the body. Mata botak kita gangguan. Boleh relax kerana.
Narasimha Gathanan.
5 minutes. Close your eyes and wait. 5 minutes. That's what I did. Close your eyes for 5 minutes.